This is my favorite part. Let's go for a drive. What's up, guys? My name is Andy. A lot of you guys have been following my channel and are familiar with the car and all of the parts I put on here and all the changes I've made. And I try to go along and I try to update you guys as much as I can, maybe give you some information after I installed something, or if I didn't like it, or I made some changes. And I get a lot of questions throughout the videos of, what do you think about this? Or what about that part you put on, a couple months ago? And I thought maybe I could sum it all up in a couple of videos here and just kind of go over all the parts that I've installed, and kind of a review up to date, on the car and how it's been. So I'm going to start in the back of the car and just kind of work my way forward and just kind of hit a lot of the parts along the way. So the first part that I've got is the tail lights. That was a part that I installed quite a while back, and they're LED tail lights. Some people are not wild about that because they're not the original incandescent bulb kind of setup on these cars. I did it because they're brighter, so it's better for safety. They're going to last longer, and I'm a sucker for that sequential blinking setup that I believe on the Shelby cars, the 67 Shelby and stuff like that. You could have that sequential blinking. I really like that. So I put these in, and so far they've been great. I haven't had any issues. They've been bright enough, and you don't really notice them because they're in the back of the car, but so far it's been good. Next part on my list is that gas filler tube that I recently did. In these 66 Mustang, they didn't have that block off plate, where you could fill up the fuel, and as the fuel filled up, it would splash it back out on you when you're filling it up, and you have to kind of pay attention as you get towards the top so you don't splash fuel everywhere. And I bought that tube that a guy makes, and I put the description or the email and stuff like that for that guy on my video where I did that. And for everybody else that wants to buy that, it's just a guy that makes these parts. It's not some big business, that you can buy it at. And so far it's been great. It filled up a couple of times, no issues. Just hold the little trigger thing down on the gas pump and just go till it stops. It's fantastic. I know some of you guys have asked me about getting a hold of that guy. I don't know if he wasn't answering emails or something like that. Maybe he got inundated by all you guys' requests for the same part. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the guy. I was just very happy with this part, and I wanted to put it on my car. So while we're in the back of the car, let's talk about the battery. Now, last fall I moved the battery to the back of the car, to the trunk, when I was getting everything prepped. I took the motor out and did all that stuff, and I put it back there, and I ran the wiring up to the front, and it has been fantastic the whole time. No issues, which there shouldn't be any issues, right? That's how it should be, right? You shouldn't have to, move something like that to the back. Sorry, it's a little steep hill. You got to get up this hill. Okay. So there shouldn't be any issues with installing the battery in the trunk. The hinge for the trunk is really close to the top of the battery. Haven't had any issues with that arcing or anything like that. I put a cover over the terminals anyways, but hasn't been an issue at all. And I really like having that circuit breaker right there on the battery. Just hit that button. It kills all the juice to the car. That's something that we should have, no matter if you got the battery in the front or the back. It's very handy to have that when you're doing anything electrical, and you don't even have to worry about taking the terminals off. You just push the button, comes right off. It's fantastic. So other than that, the battery's been great. I haven't had a dead battery, haven't had any issues with that. That red top battery has been fantastic, particularly with the starter. This higher compression motor, I had to put a bigger starter on here to turn this over and get things going, and I haven't had an issue at all with that battery just chugging every single time. So another thing back there is the exhaust, and this is something that I change my mind every other day. I like the way it sounds, and then I hear somebody else's car, I'm like, man, that one sounds better. And then I hear mine, I'm like, nah, I like mine. And then I hear another car, ooh, that one sounds better. And you just go back and forth, and I don't know if I'll ever be happy with that, because there's just a lot of good sounding cars out there, and I can't have them all. with this muffler setup and everything, it's part of the sound, but also is the cam, and that lopiness of the cam will transfer through the exhaust and come out the back. So you could have just a normal cam in there, and you wouldn't hear that whoop, 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 whoop sound or whatever that makes. You know, you wouldn't get that with a more modern cam, right, or a mild cam, sorry. But with mine, that helps the sound, and those mufflers help, but also where the tubes come out play a big role. I had the tubes dumping out right in front of the axle before I had the exhaust finished, and I didn't like the sound at all, and it made a very loud drone in the car, and I wouldn't do that again. You know, when you're just cruising around, I don't want that sound, but it sounded good when you're on it from outside, but not inside. And so coming running them out the back, I think it sounds better for when you're cruising around, and the wife definitely likes it better that way. Another part I put in the back there are those QA1 shocks, and those have been great. I still need to dial them in a little bit better. I've got that compression and rebound settings, and as I continue to drive the car more, I'm finding that I want to go just a little bit less stiff on this suspension. I've taken it down a click just to soften it up a little bit for the comfort part. I want to be able to hit the corners and hit them hard and have the car turn in and stuff, but I also, you know, when the wife is riding with me, I don't want her jumping around, and she doesn't like it either. So, you know, I've taken it down a click, and so far it's been good, but I want to continue to get some more seat time with those and dial those in. And the leafs that I've got, I believe they're the 4.5 leaf setup. Those have been great too. I don't really have a lot to compare them to because the leafs that were in here before were just tired and old and just they needed to be removed. And these are stiffer and they're better, but it's tough to compare those because, again, what I had pulled out of there wasn't something that you'd want to compare them against. So another part there with the leafs are those lowering blocks, and I've gone back and forth between the 1 inch and the 1/2 inch lowering blocks, trying to figure out where exactly I want the car to sit. Right now, it's sitting on the 1/2 inch blocks, and I like it so far. I might want to go back down to just taking the blocks out and put it back up a little bit. I may go back down to a 1 inch to lower the car more. I'm trying to figure that out, but that's going to play a role when I get some new wheels and tires down the road and how that all sets up and everything. I'll figure that out then. So in that 8-inch rear end that I've got in here, I've got the 355 gears, and those gears are great for cruising, but they're not great for performance. They're better than the 280 gears that I had in here to start with, but it's not short enough for the acceleration that I'd like to have. The problem is that my car is plagued with a horrible first gear. I've got a really short first gear in this transmission, and it has to do with the T5 that I got. It wasn't the more desirable one with the taller first gear. And because of that, I've got a really short first gear where it can be useless if I were to put shorter gears in the rear. And, you know, after you get out of first gear, then it's fine, but I have to figure out, I might do something with the transmission. I might change first gear, and then I can worry about dealing with the rear gears, you know, on this rear end here. Despite my engine being as much fun as it is, parts on the car, my favorite part still is that Panhard Bar. And I know I talk about it a lot. Some of you guys have been following a lot of my videos, and I won't shut up about it, but I really like that bar. If you were to do a Panhard Bar or a Watts link, it's going to do the same thing in terms of keeping that axle centered in the car, and it keeps this car planted. And so when you go around corners like I was just doing back there, that rear end is staying centered underneath the car instead of scooting outwards because of the flex in the leaves and in the bushings at the end of the leaves and the body switching around and stuff like that. Keeping everything planted, it simulates having a thick sway bar back there that we would have in modern cars. And it's so much more fun to drive this car with that Panhard Bar. And also I'm not rubbing because the tires aren't moving inside that wheel well like they were without that bar. So again, that Panhard Bar is something that I absolutely recommend. I think everybody should get one of those for their classic Mustang. I've also got those subframe connectors underneath the car, and that is something that is more of a sum of the whole kind of a setup. I don't think people are really going to notice the difference individually of those bars with them on the car, with them off the car. A handful of you guys probably could tell the difference, but most people aren't going to know. But it's the sum of all of this chassis stiffening stuff that I've done. The export brace, the Monte Carlo bar, the subframe connectors. I want to do the torque boxes. All that stuff, as you start to add all this stuff up, the car gets tighter and stiffer and more predictable and controllable. And that's just something that you just need to add it to the list when you're doing all that stuff. I'm so glad I had them on here, and then I welded them on too. I don't recommend bolting unless bolt them on just to get them to the welding shop, then you can have a guy weld them on for you. That's probably the best route there, but weld them in place. And there's lots of different brands out there. They're all more or less do the same thing. Some might be a little stiffer than others, but the important thing is to just help, you know, stiffening up the chassis, and that's a major upgrade compared to what was there or what was not there on the car. So moving forward, underneath the car, we've got the T5 transmission, and this has also been a fantastic upgrade. I had the C4 automatic in this car when I bought it. You guys probably saw those videos of me swapping that out and put this T5 in here. Another must-have for me. I really like having a manual transmission. And I need to pull the transmission right now. I've got a leak. I believe the tail shaft, I didn't seal it well enough to the body, the housing of the transmission. And I've got a couple drops on the floor that I'm gonna have to fix because it's dripping like one drip every time I go out somewhere, and it just, I need to fix that. So probably this winter when I pull everything apart, I'll pull the transmission out and reseal up that tail shaft housing. But the T5 has been fantastic. I haven't blown any gears or had any whining of the bearings or any of the shims. Like this thing has been perfect since I got it set up, and it's a blast to drive. You know, to go along with that T5 is the hydraulic clutch. I put in the cable clutch originally when I put this T5 in, and if I was younger, I could probably deal with it better, but my knee just can't take that pressure as much as I used to, and this hydraulic clutch is effortless. It's a little bit of a pain to install that master cylinder up there in the firewall, but if you're able to get that in there, from there, it's a piece of cake. And Modern Driveline makes that awesome kit for that side-mounted slave cylinder that goes on the housing of the T5, and it works fantastic. Bolts right up. I haven't had any issues, and I haven't had to adjust anything or tweak anything since I installed it. Moving a little farther forward, we've got the upper and lower control arms. Now, some of you guys just saw that video I did of those parts. I haven't had a lot of seat time with them, but already the car is better. I think a big part of it was those ball joints were just shot on both the upper and lower control arms. Got those replaced, got the alignment done. Everything is tighter, feels better. And again, the reason why I picked those Mike Meyer upper control arms is it seems like the best parts of all of the companies out there that make an upgraded upper control arm for these cars are all in one unit. And that was one of the biggest selling points on that, is to get something that has all these upgrades in one spot. And I'm anxious to get some more seat time in the car and drive around and just get a chance to feel that out and see this big improvement over those tired stock upper control arms. I'm just gonna need some more seat time to figure that out. And the last thing on the list for this video is the coilovers that I've got, those QA1 coilovers. Again, a big upgrade over what I had before. I can control the height of the car, which is important. I've got that, they're double adjustable, so I got the compression rebound. Again, I have dialed those back a click on those just to kind of make them ride just a little more compliant, so that when I'm cruising around, it's nice and not stiff, but there's still performance and stiff enough to give me what I want out of this car. Again, more seat time with that, but so far they have been great. Haven't had any problems with them, and they're a big upgrade over the stock setup. So as a bonus, I get a lot of people asking me for more burnouts and, you know, more hoonigan kind of driving around and not being responsible. And so maybe we'll end this video with a nice little burnout and see if I shred the rear end or the transmission on doing that.